I'm your host, Dr. Enrico Dolce-Corey, and this week's topic, toxins are everywhere. Doomsday, right? They are toxins. We need to talk about toxic environment, and it comes from three stems. We could be toxic chemically, we could be toxic emotionally as well. There's toxic environment emotionally, and there's just straight up toxins. There's just pollution everywhere as well. Now, I'm going to start this off with a story. When I go through TSA check, the screening, the security checks that you go through at the airports. When I'm at a seminar, and it's always hilarious. You can tell when the chiropractors are done with a seminar and they're kind of all heading to the airport at the same time because they'll be through TSA. And then all of a sudden, there's a group of people that keep opting out of the scanning machine. They all want to get pat downs. And you're like, what's going on? Why is everyone getting pat down? And so if you weren't a chiropractor, you're looking at us and we all, not all of us, but many of us are like, I'm going to take a pat down. I do it all the time. And the reasoning is because there's so many toxins in the environment every single day, from EMF radiation from our phones and Wi-Fi devices to these machines that scan us to I take x-rays in my office all the time. So when I have an option to not be interfered with EMF and radiation, I choose not to. When my cell phone is near me, well, I'm choosing to keep that cell phone near me. And that's a choice that I make and use it. Or if I decide to pick up a call and put that phone up to my face, I don't know about you guys, my face within 15 seconds is hot. Like I can feel the heat. And when I'm done with the call for about an hour, I'm touching the side of my head because I can feel something there. It's like this, almost like a heat. I keep feeling like it's going to be warm and it's not. That's that EMF. Not everyone feels this though. That's another thing. When I get a new laptop or a new tablet, and I open it and I put my hands on the laptop and I turn it on, I screw up the machine every single time. And I didn't believe this until some IT people told me, like, hey man, does this happen a lot? I'm like, yes. They're like, you have that heat, that energy in your hands that does that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's actually a thing. And then I'm like, oh man, maybe that's why I'm a chiropractor. Maybe that's why I became a healer. Maybe that's why God made me to do this. And then, well, your whole life. But let's go back to toxins. I start off with that story because if I can make a choice on what I put in my body at a time, I'm going to make that choice to not do it because I know the environment is always exposing us to pollutions and toxins. And these things do add up. What do they add up to? They add up to being stored in the body. They really do. They get stored. We can't process everything. There are some plastics. There's some estradiols we're exposed to all the times and oils that don't process through the body. Teflon is probably one of the most toxic coatings, toxic chemicals ever created. Not in the grand scheme of things, but because we coated all of our cookware in Teflon over the last 50 years. If you look at any of these Teflon coated pans that you may have, because in America they still sell them, it's banned in many countries, and you see scratches on your pan, where did those scratches go? They went onto your food, onto the spatula, wherever, and you probably ingested a little bit of it. Teflon cannot be removed from the body. Once it's in you, there is no detox you can do. There's no binders you can take. There's nothing that will remove Teflon from your body. Now, long-term effects of this, what do we know? We know having something like that in your body is just not good. Has it been linked to cancers? Some studies say yes, some studies say no, but it doesn't matter. It screws up metabolic processes in the body. That's just one example, Teflon. Banned in, I think, 18 different countries around the world. So that's one. So when we have choices, maybe we shouldn't buy the Teflon cookware. Maybe we should buy the stainless steel or the cast iron. Those are decisions we can make there. When we decide to drink water in our home, maybe don't pour it straight from the tap. I don't care where you live. Some parts of the country have some of the best drinking water, and that's pretty bad. Calgary was ranked, where I grew up, number 2 in the world almost every single year for water quality. And I still think we filtered that water. So I think there's a city in Cologne, Germany is always number 1 for whatever their treatment process is. But whatever that is, especially here in Florida, do not drink the water. because you have a choice. You have a choice to drink filtered water or not. So when you have the choice, you got to do it. When you're parched and need, you forgot your water. Do I do it at the gym sometimes? I use the water fountain. Sometimes I just need to get some water in my mouth because it's dry. I've been working out and I forgot my water bottle. Okay, I'll take a sip of it. I'm not going to go drink a gallon of county tap water. Just examples of toxins that we have choices for. Then there's things we don't have, like EMF, like radiation. Sometimes you work in an office or you work at home and you have Wi-Fi connection and you're there all the time. You're going to be exposed to that. We all are, the 5G networks, all that stuff. It's all there. Can you get away from it? I don't know. You could lead line your home, I guess, and wear a tinfoil hat and do the things to try and mitigate that as well. You could, or you can just, choose other things in your life to do that. So that's why I started this episode with the TSA example of I get the pat down because I don't want to be exposed to that, whatever that magnetic resonating imaging is. It gives off a wave to see underneath the clothes. It just does. And when they say it's safe, it's actually not. I've actually been in an argument with a couple TSA agents. You got to be careful and just drop it quick if you want to get to your destination. But I've gotten arguments. I'm like, do you know the research behind it? They're like, it's perfectly safe. I'm like, it's not. First off, it's not perfect. And number two, it's not safe. You can't be doing this all the time. If you travel once a year and you go through that thing just to get through the line, fine. If you're a business, traveler that travels every week, get the pat downs. You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to suck. It's going to add, more time to the security line. Who cares? I mean, if you're going through this thing all the time, this is not a PSA of those machines. This is toxins in general. Our water is contaminated. Our air. Here we go. What are you going to do outside? You're going to wear a gas mask everywhere you go. I mean, you pretty much have to if you want to eliminate toxins from the air, from just the exhaust pollution, oil pollution, the motors that we use everywhere that burn off. Our air is polluted. The earth is polluted. It's kind of sad. This is going to be a depressing podcast if we go down the road of what we've done to the earth, but it's not the same as it used to be 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, where it was 1,000 years ago, this earth was clean. It's not the same. It's really not the same. So we have to pick and choose our battles when it comes to toxicity. And eating clean and drinking clean water is the utmost of importance when it comes to raising a healthy family, because you just want to mitigate as many toxins as you possibly can. You can't do it all. You can't be invincible to this stuff. It just won't happen. So an air purifier in your home, utmost importance. Making sure your handlers are cleaned in your home, your HVAC is cleared, mold-free, mildew-free. These things are so you have to mitigate mold. You smell it in your car, mitigate it immediately. Check the AC, check the vents, check the carpet, check everything. I mean, you don't need to have a scientist come in there and swab everything. You just need to thoroughly go around. And if you have a smell of mildew or mold anywhere, you got to mitigate it. Get a mildew killer and a mold killer, clean the carpets, get it out. Because if you're sitting in this car 30 minutes each way each day, you're going to be exposed to mold. Mold is no bueno. Bad. It spores in your sinuses. It spores in your lungs. It causes so many conditions. We've seen from autoimmune all the way down to like muscle pain, frozen shoulder. People freeze up, their joints freeze up. We think that could be related to mold. So mold, number one, EMF, keep devices away from you when you're charging them at night, maybe not in the bedroom or on the other side of the bedroom. Keep them away from you, not directly next to you at the nightstand, like, 14 inches from your face and your brain. Keep that stuff away. Women, don't keep your cell phones in close to your breasts. Some of you put them in the pocket. I don't know where you put them, but you put them in pockets and cleavage, wherever it may be. Don't do that. That soft tissue is highly vascular there. Guys, same thing, your pockets. Be careful near the reproductive area and even those hips. Soft tissue, your muscles, anywhere directly on you. When you get to work, put it on the desk and make sure it's not sitting in your pocket all day, every day. Those little things. These phones are literally computers now, and they're connected to the internet all the time. Signals are going back and forth all the time. So this EMF is there. An air purifier in the home, we talked about that, and then a water filtration system. A lot of people get it for the water softening. They're more concerned about the pipes in their home than they are about their body. So they got the water softeners. And I'm like, do you have the water filter too? They're like, no, we just soften the water. I'm like, well, you got to put the water filter system on there too. Many great companies out there. I love Aquasana. They're national and they're affordable and they have really good filters. Like they're just really, really good filtration system for under $1,000. Like you can have a whole house 5-year system set up for I think $800. I mean, it's totally Aquasana. I have no affiliation with them. So check them out. So those are the immediate things around your household that you can protect for limiting toxins. And then we got to go through food, and this is where organic food comes into play. Is the toxins? Why do we buy organic food versus non-organic food? Is the toxins, the toxins, the toxins. That's why they get sprayed, herbicide, pesticide, and you even have to check some of these organic foods if they get sprayed as well for pest control. So sometimes even some of these farms they'll do such a good job with organic farming, and then there's a spray contaminant that's put on them when they put them in the trucks. So they box them, they crate them, they box them, and then the truck company, once it's being loaded onto the truck, has a spray for pest control, so that when they transport it from the farm to wherever they're going, the next town or the distribution center, they don't transfer pests, ticks, beetles, all those things that can, if they bring them cross country, can cause other issues. Is that organic anymore if you do that, right? These are little things so you have to find USDA certified organic food. They have an entire process that keeps it organic right to the market. Little things that it's been cleaned up. 15 years ago, I used to talk about this verbatim. It is cleaning up, but you have to be an aware consumer. Otherwise, you're going to consume unawareness. Makes sense? Ignorance. You're going to consume ignorance. So that's why we do this public information. So food, that's where you have to buy everything. My general rule in my house, guys, I'm not perfect. If it's an orange or a banana, or if it's something I can peel and I can take the peel off and throw it out and then eat what's in the middle, it doesn't have to be organic. You don't have to buy organic bananas. You don't have to buy organic oranges. You don't have to buy, because you're going to rip the peel off. But anything that you just kind of rinse and put in your mouth, like grapes, strawberries, blueberries, absolutely have to be organic. Organic. GMOs, that's another huge topic. Always has been. GMOs, we're messing with everything right now. We're going to have GMO humans, right? Genetically modified humans pretty soon. What's that going to look like? Seedless, I guess, right? Seedless humans. That's going to be great. I know seedless watermelon sounds awesome to not spit out, then your kids eat it. And if there is seeds in it, they're like, no, I don't want to eat it. It's the same watermelon. How do they become seedless? Would you marry a seedless man? Women out there, would you marry a seedless man? Think about that for a second. I mean, is that really functional for the survival of the watermelon species? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So we mess with our food so much. And when it comes to GMO, it's really just our plant-based foods we should watch out for, because that services everything. If we're feeding our cattle GMO food, then they're getting GMO. And if you feed yourself GMO food, then you're getting the DNA and the changes that happen through that as well. We genetically modified seeds and plants so that they are encapsulated with a pesticide. Literally, that's the genetic modification of this. These seeds are coated with a pesticide so the birds and stuff don't eat them, so that we can grow crops. And these crops are coated with the same modification to the genetic genome. And then we consume that. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But again, it's not all doom and gloom. You just got to choose your battles. Can you eat everything GMO and organic? I don't know. If you make a few $1 million a year, sure, go to Whole Foods and shop there all the time. But it does get expensive, and it does play a role. I hear you. I take care of families every single day. I hear it, and we're all in the same boat. Well, we're all in the same ocean. We're all in our own boats. Some of us live on yachts, and some of us have little canoes like me. And I get it. I understand. So that's the way it has to go. We have to pick our battles. Now, emotional stress. That's a tough one, but it leads to disease so quickly. You could probably smoke cigarettes for longer, like let's say 3 decades before you're diagnosed with anything, rather than being in toxicity when it comes to emotional stress, a toxic job, a toxic relationship, a toxic environment. When it comes to you being beat down mentally all the time, you're not going to make it 30 years. You're just not without a disease. You're going to break down the body a lot faster. This is a tender topic to talk about, but you need to be aware of it. And if you're in a toxic scenario, you have to mitigate it for your own health. I'm talking to you through this microphone with love, with respect. You have to mitigate toxicity in your life. It leads directly to those diseases we don't want to talk about, the C word, the cardiovascular, heart attacks, strokes. Like, this stuff will happen. Liver disease, these things, you're going to break down tissue very fast with emotional stress. And you see it. You see some people, 250-year-olds walk into the office, and one, you're like, what has happened to you in your life? You look at them and you're like, you look like you're 88. And then another 50-year-old walks in, you're like, how old are you? 40? 30? And they're like, oh, yeah, come on, I'm 50. Wow, great. Like my mom, she's, 70 something now. And I don't know how she kind of froze at 50, like right around there, 49. She just kind of froze, and she looks the exact same. Like, Mom, why do you do this? How do you maintain that? She has a regimen, eats clean, skincare, a lot of cool stuff. Always does her hair. She's proud about how she looks and feels. That's one example. But a toxic environment, it can be mental, can be emotional, can be physical, can be chemical, and then it all relates to toxins in the body. Toxins end up being stored in our fat cells mostly. So, but they have to be metabolized. They have to come in somehow. You either eat it, you ingest it, you drink it, or you're exposed to the radiation, which causes oxidative stress around your cells. And then those cells have to be processed. They have to be broken down. So your immune system's constantly trying to break this stuff down. So if you're always exposed to high EMF areas, you're always going through this oxidative stress in the body, which is taxing. And if you're always consuming toxic food, you're always in an inflammatory state, which is taxing. So that's what we're talking about with all of this. Emotions work a little different. Emotions will actually compartmentalize in the body as symptoms. So mental stress will create symptomatology in the body. It's usually pain, discomfort, tightness. A lot of people, pain, neck pain. It's different. When they hold their neck, the side of their neck, it's usually tension. When they're pointing to the lower part of their neck, like that, where that hump usually comes for some people, that upper back where your shirt meet, that crescent to your shirt, the lower neck, that's emotional. When I see that all the time, I ask them, how are you doing? And typically they'll go off telling me a story. It has been crazy for the last 3 months. We're renovating, or we're going through a transition at work, or I'm going through relationship issues. And it's like, got it. Helping them will help them in the moment. They'll feel released. It will release the tension. But if they go back to the toxic environment, they'll go right back into that loop. So that's that. So that's toxins, folks. Good luck out there. It's like the wild, wild west when we hit out there with our toxins. But we have to be so aware of what we're doing, not only for us, but for our kids, keeping things as clean as possible. The simple things that we can do, washing and rinsing our foods. The best way to do fruits and vegetables is in a sink. No soap. You just keep them in warm water or lukewarm water. And there's some natural vegetable cleaners out there as well. You can spray it right into the water in the sink, leave them in there. I remember my dad doing this ever since I was a kid. He would just fill up the sink with water, and then I dump all the grapes in there, or dump the strawberries in there, and just let them soak a little bit, and then rinse them off, or take them out, rinse them off. And that was just the way we ate our fruits and vegetables. Those are little things to do, whether they're organic or not. Cleaning our fruits and vegetables, washing our hands when we cook food, and then pure water. I think if we had to put it from number one, the number one thing to do is filtered water. Filtering our water through a filtration system, even a carbon filter, will remove 98% of everything out of there. 70, from like 70 to 80 toxins that are in the water treatment process. And so that's number one. Number two would then be air in the house, making sure the air is clear, filters being changed, making sure the HVAC is clear, the furnace is clean, the ducts get cleaned out, and then mitigating mold, checking for mold every year. So you look around your windowsills for any moisture, you look at the ceiling for any moisture or drips. And if it is, you just have to punch a little hole in the drywall and look behind it. If you see anything black or dark green, you're going to have to keep cutting until you remove all of that, or call a professional to do that. Mold is no joke. That's the top two. And then toxic environment. Good luck with that. I mean, if you're in a relationship or in a work position for this, it's easy to say, quit, go find another job. Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes we're tied into a good paying job. Sometimes I feel you. Let's not make this all a trigger for anyone that's listening to the podcast. Stay healthy. If you have questions, reach out to us. Like, share, comment. Please get this podcast out there. We are not going to stop. We're going to keep dropping tidbits every single week. Have a healthy week. Take care. Catch you next time.